So, good morning, 8th of July 2023. Here we are, we're at Toowoomba, and as you can see, we're at the Tabletop Bushland Reserve. We're about to go for a bit of a hike, Tabletop Mountain. It is now 3 minutes after 9 AM. It's supposed to be about 2 hours return. We'll see, it could be a bit longer. If you have a look in the background, you can see the track going up the hill. Yes, it is steep, and it's quite cold this morning. It's about 8 or 9 degrees this morning, but once we get moving, I think we'll get a little bit warmer. So we'll see what happens, and we'll keep you informed as we go. Catch you later. So we've started the hike up. You're not going to get any idea of the how steep this is, but Natalie was just hands on the ground climbing over some of it. This is the beginning of the track, and it is allegedly the worst part, so we'll see how we go. So we just had some barring noises from Natalie, as she claims she is a mountain goat.
Hi Dad, I'm a mountain goat.
Well, that was a very steep climb. We've made it up the first climb. Apparently that's the worst part. So we're now on the saddle between the two parts of the mountain. I'll turn the camera around if I can, and you can see that we're on the saddle. So this is the track going across the saddle, and off in the distance that's the tabletop section over there. So quite a bit further to go. You can see some people just on the top. If you look very carefully, there are some people coming down the hill. We'll see how we go. Well, the track is steep again now, but it's more defined. We've got mud and rock at our feet, but it's dried mud and it's firm, so there is an alternative path alongside of us. It really looks like a waterway, but it's all loose rock, so it's probably better to go up this track. So we're on the incline up to the tabletop. So everything we said about it not being loose rock, now out the window. About 20 metres on from the last video, we joined what I called the watercourse, but this is the track, and this goes up and up and up. Up there somewhere, we think, we hope. You can just see Natalie on the edge of the bushes there, blowing her nose, no doubt. No, she's not. So yeah, this is all loose, but it's all big rock, and it is sort of locking in as you step on it, but sometimes as you step off it, it creates a little bit of a rock slide, and you hear that nasty sound of rocks falling against each other, but it only moves 20-30 centimetres and stops, but it does keep you on your toes, that's for sure. That's our next challenge. So here we are, we've made it to the top of Tabletop Mountain. We're going to go for a bit of a walk around the top here. Apparently the views are spectacular. We're looking out sort of almost, well, Toowoomba's over that way. And then we've got a full 360 degree view to look at, so we'll have a bit of a look at that. I'll give you some pictures along the way. As you can see, I did carry the extra weight all the way up here. So we do have DK with us. So we thought we'd better put him in a picture, seeing as I carried him all the way out here. The last little stretch, that was pretty testing. We did sort of get off the track. We nearly climbed directly up, which would have been challenging.
Very challenging.
But we did spot a bit of a track, so we were able to detour on the
locals.
track a bit, and then we still had a bit of a climb at the end. But we will now head off and do our 360 walk around the top of the mountain, and then we've got to go back.
Slide on the bottom of the
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a challenge.
That's going to be a challenge.
We just passed a 6-year-old on our, she was on her way down. She apparently came up last year as well, so she was 5 the first time she came up here. The advantage of being small, I suppose, but and having no fear. I've really struggled. The fear factor. I just had to block out the drop-offs and just keep going. Sometimes it was very hard to move my feet, but we'll go and have a bit of a look, and we'll give you some video, and we'll see where we go to from here. So, as promised, that's looking out sort of towards the easterly aspect, slowly moving around to the north, and we've obviously got, I would say that that's an outer suburb of Toowoomba. We may find that it actually was initially a separate town of Toowoomba. Moving around a little bit further, so that's about north there, and then you can see houses on the top of the hill, so that would be Toowoomba. You can see the highway going up the hill, doubling back. We'll be going down that one tomorrow, not tomorrow, day after, heading towards the Gold Coast. Australian flag on the top of the hill, don't know if you can see it. I can see it from here, but it'll be a bit small. That's the picnic area. Heading now towards a westerly direction, and then somewhere behind that tree there that's on the left is that first little section with the saddle between it that we came up when we began. So there was a bit of a cairn on the other section there, but I wasn't convinced that it was the highest point, so we've made a bit of a trek, and I think we've found the highest point. So this is about south, and what the heck, we'll go clockwise. Okay, so panning slowly around. Mob in Western Australia. West is sort of over that way. If you can see the house with the white roof down towards the bottom of the hill, the distant hill, it's sort of about that way that's where the track started. Back up the top there, big Australian flag up on that bumpy ridge. Again, you can see the highway coming down the road, Toowoomba. Big lump there, that might even be the tallest point of Toowoomba. Around now to the north, you can see the little rock cairn on the next section of hill. That's where people have marked the top of the hill, but I reckon this is the top of the hill. I reckon we're higher up here. Back over that section which I wasn't sure whether it was part of Toowoomba or whether it used to be originally a separate town. A little bit further around, a few little trees. I'll talk about the trees in a minute. So this is now in an easterly direction, so somewhere out there is the Pacific Ocean. Brisbane, about 150 k's, just under 150 k's away out that way, and the Gold Coast, which is where we're heading in a few days' time. And we're nearly round the full 360 degrees. Now, if you have a look at the hills off in the distance, all of them have got trees covering them all the way over the top, unless they've been cleared by farming. There we are, the full 360. There are very few trees on the top of this tabletop, and they really do not know why. It's definitely volcanic area. You look at the shape of all of the hills, and the rock is definitely volcanic. There's definitely soil up here, but it might not be very deep. So that might be why there are no trees up here. But they sort of, this one hill is very bare compared to all of the others. So that's Tabletop Mountain.
And we made it.
And we made it.
By a miracle. Watch this space to see if we make it
Part
back down.
Part two coming up. How do we make it down without killing ourselves? So here we are, still at the top. We still haven't hit the section where we've got to go down. But if you look closely, that little lump of hill in front of us, you can see the people streaming up here. There's a few going back, but there seems to be quite a few coming this way. Through the trees you can see the top of a car. I think our car is actually parked closer to the hill than that car in the little car park. So that's the first little bump that we came up, and then there's a bit of a saddle and a bit of a dip. Then we had to come up the steep part here. So that's what is ahead of us. Once we start down, the camera will be going in the backpack. I will not be making any attempt to video any of that because I will be in full concentration mode. Part one will be blocking out the view because I don't want to see it. Really struggled with the height thing. And part two is I really need to concentrate. We'll be doing a lot of it sitting on our backsides just to get extra points of contact with the ground. It's really steep and really challenging. So that's what's ahead of us. So back in the car park at the bottom. So we made it all the way. There we go. Stuff on the bonnet to prove that we did it. Really had to concentrate on the way back. You were, quite a lot of the time, you were looking for third, fourth, fifth or sixth contact point, which sort of brings me to a question which I've previously asked Daniel, and it's something I've been contemplating on this trip. Butt cheeks. Is that one word, or should they be separated? You can decide whether it was 5 points of contact or 6 points of contact based on your answer to that previous question. But really didn't need to sit down too often, but you did have to be awake, thinking all the time, particularly that loose rock section. It's a bit like oversized railway ballast, and so you are going to get movement, but it doesn't move very far. So Natalie lost concentration right at the end. She could see the car and she must have thought, oh, I'm nearly there, and nearly rolled her ankle. But it is, you've just got to keep your concentration going the whole time, otherwise you could do that very easily. The local Toowoomba residents, it seems to be their Sunday morning adventure. Quite a few of them up there, really young kids. One of them that had made it over the first section, what, 3, 4?
Must be about
4 years of age. We met one family. The kids must have been about 8 or 9, 17th time. So it must be the local thing to come out and do tabletop. I did tell those ones, this is my first and it will be my last. I don't think I'll be making the 3,000 plus kilometre trek to do it again somehow. If I do get back over here, I'm thinking I might be too old to do this one. Although we did see an older lady, older than ourselves, going up. I think there was an older lady, wasn't there? Can't really remember. But anyhow, so that's our video of Tabletop Mountain. I will stitch all of the bits and pieces together, and I might just whack that up as is straight onto YouTube, and we'll see what happens from there. Okay, bye for now. So we've just travelled around the corner. We're at Picnic Point. What you have in view is Tabletop Mountain. So the bare bit on the top, that was the bit that we wandered around on. If you have a look down the face of the mountain a bit, you can see a bit of a bare patch with a bit of a track going up from right to left. That was the loose rock section. Then as you come back down from that, you can see the saddle going across between the two humps. Then you can see the first hump close to us, and then the car park is sort of at the base of that on this side. So that was what we just walked up. Did take us, the return trip was just over about 2.5 hours, but we did sort of take our time, and we spent a bit of time up the top there to see that. So we've just read some rather, shall we say, over the top comments about the views from Picnic Point being equivalent to those in Austria and Canada. Maybe exaggerations, but certainly a very beautiful spot. One comment that said that the view is always moving. Don't know whether that really inspires a lot of confidence if you're looking at a view like this and it's always moving. I think what they mean is it changes all the time with the seasons, and it moves you emotionally. Okay, rightio. I was happy to see it sitting still and not moving underneath my feet. That was all I was worried about. So Picnic Point to go along with Tabletop Mountain. So this is the Picnic Point cafe restaurant, probably equivalent to Kings Park restaurant in Perth. Right at the top of the hill, beautiful views, and probably a menu price list that matches. Picnic Point, lovely picnic area for people to have a look at. come down and enjoy. And then we have a bit of a sign at the top here. I'll zoom in on it. And look at that down the bottom. Perth 6056. That's actually our postcode, 6056 in Helena Valley, but apparently it's 6,056 kilometres away in that direction approximately. Closer than Rome and Oslo, and only 104 to Brisbane. Berlin's a little bit further away.
Might make it to Brisbane.
Yeah, we are hoping to get there. So there are some more. I'll pause it and I'll go around the corner. And here we are around the corner, and you can't see any of it because it's dark. But if I read some of them, like Darwin 2769, Moscow 14019, Ottawa 15400, San Francisco 11,479, Singapore 6056, same distance from here to Singapore, here to Perth, 7,131 to Tokyo, Sydney 697, South Pole 6,953, so not that much further, only about 1,000 k's further to get to the South Pole. Adelaide 1515, Hobart 1741, Melbourne 1306, Sydney 697, I think I mentioned that one before. So there it is. So here we are in Toowoomba. Well, we're actually not in Toowoomba. Toowoomba's back that way behind me, about 20 kilometres behind us. As per usual, I've chosen to camp a little bit further out of town. It is in a caravan park. It's actually called a motel and tourist park. Motel first. But this is for Jace. So I'll just move back a little bit. And there you go, Jace. That's the name of the town. Oki. About 20 k's out of Toowoomba. And unfortunately we're not going to see the Army Museum because it's closed on Sundays and Mondays, so we're not going to be there. Open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so missed out on that one unfortunately, but there is an Army flight museum up here, but missed out on that one. So there you go, Jace. I thought you'd appreciate that one. I'll tag that on the end of the video, so make sure you watch it. Catch you later.